Alright everybody, welcome back to episode 8 of Haruna. Today I've got something a little different for you guys. I've got a bit of a live comm as opposed to a time-lapse and voiceover. Ultimately, when I was recording this video, I ended up with way too much footage. Like, way too much footage. What I'm showing you guys is only about like a third of what how long it took me to actually do this, or maybe closer to 40% of the footage that I would have had. So at that point I just went, you know what, I'm done recording. I'm just gonna show you guys what I did at the end, because if I did this video in the style of my previous videos, it would be over an hour and a half long, minimum, probably longer. I haven't exactly done the calculations. So that being said, I'm just gonna walk through and show you guys what I did, and I hope this turns out okay, because I'm trying out something new and it might be more entertaining than what I was doing, so it's always good to try new things. Alright, so first thing, we're gonna start off on the top of the main street here. This will be reworked in probably next episode when I get to the main street. But I realized I needed a focal point of the main street, a beautiful building, and so I built this cathedral. And which cathedral? I'll put a reference image up on the screen right now, but it is based on the Santa Maria del Fiore in Florence. And you can see how I was inspired by it, but also limited by Planet Coaster, so I did my best. And this is how it turned out. The real building is also a bit longer, has the world's largest dome, and also has a very tall tower. I'm going to incorporate those in the next episode. I'm just not going to have them attached to this building. They're going to be spread out around the park. So that is that. So moving on, we're going to head down this little bridge, and from up here you can see this Zarson Super Loop kind of fit in this footprint here nicely. And one thing I didn't really plan but I kind of like is how it's sort of a two-tone design, where the bottom half can be one color and the top half is one color, and the height level literally perfectly matches. So it's kind of in the style of the rides at Thorpe Park, where they all have colors on the bottom, and then at a certain height they all have to be white to sort of blend in with the sky. I think that was their intention with the coloring of their rides. Like, so if you look at Stealth or the new Hyperia, for example, they have some weird colorations that you don't see. So anyway, I think this makes it look even better because it sort of blends in. Like, we'll get to the viewing angle from below, but everything dark down here is very dark, and then everything up here is very light. So the fact that the ride kind of mirrors that, it just it looks pretty good. Where we left off pardon me, where we left off last episode, we made the queue for this Venetian carousel, and we made these planters. So I kind of reshaped the planter and added the path through, and I added some signs. So the title of this episode is Zaffiro Square, and that refers to the lower area down here. And I added a sign, now entering Zaffiro Square. And Zaffiro Square just stands for, or just means sapphire in Italian. So if you can imagine Sapphire Square, and I named it Sapphire because of its proximity to the water. So I feel like that's a pretty believable name, being on the water, something called Sapphire. And if we go to the other side, we see now entering Vatican Plaza. So that'll give you a little sneak peek preview of what I have planned for the main street. Also following this architectural style, very gothic and grand. And then to contrast, we have this area down here. So first we got a little fountain, maybe a memorial fountain. I don't know what I'm gonna put here yet, so that's just a placeholder. So yeah, to contrast with the Gothic style, we've got this Mediterranean style. This is the type of architecture you would see in, funnily enough, the US. In like areas like Miami, for example, they have very nice houses in this style. And I thought that's how I want this area to look. I love that architecture. So I figured the design points were just stucco, very flat roofs, lots of chimneys, these roof detail pieces, lots of arches, and clean lines with doors, windows, and working in odd numbers. And you pair that all together, and you get this architectural style that's a neighborhood. So right off the bat, entering Zaffiro Square, we've got a fork in the road. It goes off in two directions, but it's ultimately a loop. So we will go ahead and start with the left side. We have our first building, which is a sort of Chief Keef vending stand. But if you look at the building, and if you think of it as a house, which it originally was supposed to be a house, you can tell that there's supposed to be a garage here, a double garage. And I sort of made that change in all of these buildings. So wherever there would be a garage, I sort of put something else, like, for example, a stand. So I think converting the houses into a theme park like this requires sort of a change like this, and I think it makes all the difference. I'm not too sure about this one though. I think I just need to add an awning and it will look as good as the other ones, which we get to. Like for example here, the awning here looks very good. So yeah, I guess we'll get into this building now. On the right, we've got our cosmic cow, and this one's a bit different because the path is a bit elevated. It's got its staircase, and there's a little seated area with some nicer chairs than the ones I made in episode 1. But I do like those still, so I copy and pasted them over here. But throwing in some different variety in the chairs and the tables and chairs just to kind of spice it up a little bit. And we've still got park benches everywhere so people can actually sit in the area. And now to our left we got this building, which has two purposes. It's the entrance to the Sarsen Superloop, which is called Corona. Corona meaning crown in Spanish, and crown could be circular shaped, like a circlet, ergo Corona as this ride. Stutter. And my game stutters every time it does an autosave. It's really annoying. So yeah, we've got the ride entrance. The queue starts here, goes behind, and then we've got a little shop. So, entering the Corona Plaza where we started off the video, we got a little planter and the fountain. So this is actually just a billboard. I originally wanted to put a video of moving water, so it looked like a complete sort of thing, but ultimately I could not find a high definition enough video with a texture like this that actually looked good. So instead I just opted for a still image and some effect pieces. So I think it looks fine. You know, you're going to be viewing it from very far away. So very far away, it gets the point across and it looks very convincing. And another thing you'll notice is this ring sort of fountain thing. This gets triggered every time a train passes by above this section right here. So you'll see the train cross rather, and the water will erupt and soak everyone in the plaza. And I imagine that would be enjoyable in this park because I don't know about you, but I get the vibes that it's just really hot here. So I tried to add as much covering shade as possible because it just the vibe. It just looks very hot. So that was kind of my design philosophy in covering a lot of things. Here we've got the elevated train above the queue. So the queue just comes around this side and loops around here and back into the ride. And I don't imagine this ride would get that long of a line, so that's why the queue's not that long. But if it does, I guess that's just poor planning by me. But I'm not going to fix it because I think it looks good. And functionally, the exit to the ride is over here because I always wanted people to be walking through here. Excuse me, train, you're too loud. I wanted them to be walking around the building because it's very pretty and I didn't want to waste all the time I spent. I think this building alone took 4 hours, so I didn't want to waste all the time I spent by not having people near it. so that's why I had the exit go here. But functionally, it makes the most sense, you know, to have the exit go here, because you sort of want to exit and enter a ride in similar areas. You don't want to just be teleported around. Um, this one, for the carousel, for example, it makes sense that the exit would be here because it's the same area of the park, right? But down here, you enter in Zaffiro, but then you exit in Vatican, and that's probably a big no-no. So I might continue the path here to make it look like the exit, but functionally, I want the exit to be here. So that's why this is here. That was a big ramble about a whole lot of nothing. Excuse me. Alright, so moving down the street, we've got a seating area. This is connected to the Cosmic Cow. And then across the street, we've got a nice little restaurant here. Maybe an Olive Garden? Probably not an Olive Garden. My friend brought up having an Olive Garden in the park, and I thought that was hilarious because it's Italian, but it's the most American fake Italian food. So I think that would be pretty funny to have an Olive Garden, honestly. I might do that. But for right now, this is just a simple bogus shack. It's just a Monster Frites right now. But eventually I might make it into an actual stand, because this is kind of cheating, you know, covering buildings in facades that aren't actually functional. And if you can't tell, these are the original buildings I made, and then I copied the style around. So these have not been adapted for theme parks, as well as, let's say, this building has. It just fits perfectly. It looks like a house and a stand at the same time. So you can see how my building has evolved just in the start to the end, and how I built the interior buildings. But besides that, we'll go behind the building and we'll look at this kind of corridor that I made. And this was inspired by those videos of the Japanese cafes that run right next to their bullet train line. And if you've seen those viral videos of the people sitting, drinking their coffee, and then literally feet from their face, a train just goes whooshing by. And I want to recreate that feeling here a little bit. And obviously there aren't people sitting here, but I will do that later in the park in the Japanese area. I'll have people sitting right next to the train, and I think that will be amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I don't forget about that idea by the time I get to that area of the park. So now we're at the bottom of the loop, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the front of this building. Very nice. This is the only building I actually did copy. So I copied this and pasted it on that side at the entrance, and I changed the colors and changed where the chimneys were. And it's not that noticeable that it's the same building. So besides that, this area has 9 unique buildings and 1 copy, making for a total of 10. That's why it took so long. 9 unique buildings, 9.5, because I added a back. This building does not have a back, but that one does. So yeah, this next building is a storefront. This is a shop. You'll see I put the Versace logo here. I wanted to lean into the idea of you know, Italy's known for its designer fashion as well as its food and amongst other things. So I wanted a designer shop, and I might have a few more later. This is an idea I played with. So this is just a billboard on the other side of some glass, and I tried to play with a little bit with forced perspective. So we've got angled walls on all sides of the billboard, and trying to make it look like it's actually deep. And from up close, I admit, doesn't look that good, but from the angle you're going to be viewing it from, mostly, I guess afar, it actually does look pretty deep, and it does, and it does look like an actual shop, if the lighting isn't a bit fake. Like from here, for example, that looks pretty dang believable. So from upper angle, it looks pretty good, but from eye level, it is not the best, but not bad either. Alright, on this side we've got no space for a building, so instead I just opted for some shade and a little small clearing. I think it does add a lot here, having a lack of a building rather than just trying to force one in. I think it fits a lot more to just have some shade. And then next we've got our final buildings going back to the entrance loop. First we got this one, which is just a small shack. There's no functionality in this building. I think this is the only one that doesn't have any functionality at all. It's just a shell, and I'm okay with that because this has the most drastic elevation change and the smallest footprint for that. So I couldn't really do anything here except add a slanted staircase and try to fit it in as best I could. Here, I've got a similar design as I did here for this one, except instead of being the shop front, I just put a piece of glass behind in front of a screen, a TV screen, and displayed on the screen is just a glass texture to make it look like a window. Because this window piece has a shutter. If you'll see right here, it's this piece, and I wanted it to actually have the glass showing, so I sort of converted it. Luckily, this piece fit perfectly in the window frame, and so it just worked out that way. Got a claw machine here. Doesn't really make sense, but it's functional. The path goes there so people can go there. Got some more seating area outside. This is probably my favorite building. It's just very uniquely shaped, and I made it fit the land very well, so it just works. It's also landscaped pretty well, and I love the lighting like this. Just looks pretty modern. And lastly, we've got the Street Fox coffee that goes into the area, or into the building rather, and it just sort of completes this area and completes the building and makes it look believable as a theme park. And heading back to the start of the loop, it just looks very cozy and cohesive, and that's all I was going for at the end of the day. Oh, another thing, this building has no functionality as well. It's just an empty shell. Right, so that's pretty much it. It's a small area, but there's so much detail packed in. Just looking at the lights and such, you know, I placed the power lines, kind of extended the idea here. Just wanted everything to feel very tight-knit, intimate, and like a neighborhood almost. So, I think overall I achieved that pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with the results. So let me go ahead and change it to nighttime so you guys can get a little view of how it looks at night. Very nice, very cozy. I still have not lit up this area this building, because I will do that in the future, guys. That is on the books for probably next episode. I just wanted to have the main street all done at once, so I do the lighting with it, and that way I could you know, have the lights in places where it's not overpowering, or the buildings aren't overpowering each other. So for example, if I were to light this, I could have too many lights and then it just drowns out everything else. So I would just rather do it all at once so I can see it together. And yeah. So moving forward, you'll see I changed a bit of the park. Namely, the train now goes through here, which it's been like that all video. And I've added a second bridge as well as a third bridge on the lower level. And this will kind of be a sneak peek for, you know, future plans of the park that I am very excited to get into. So here's a sneak peek of this sight line leading up to the island. What's gonna go there? Who knows? I know. And I guess the last thing we'll talk about here is on the back side of these buildings. I want to have a sort of Riviera, so I've got to complete this later. But for right now, this is how it looks, and all things considered, I mean, look at this, man. Look at the levels, changes of elevation, the details. Just look at it. And the trains going by. If this building was lit up, it would look incredible. But it already does look incredible. I hope you guys agree, and I'm not just just delusional right now. But yeah, look, the train going through, just atmospheric. And I need to get some speakers going so it just kind of completes the overall feel. And having some nice kind of park music going on. So yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's all from me. Be on the lookout for the next episode. This series is rolling, guys, and I can't wait to pump out the next one because this park is coming together, and we need to finish this park before Planet Coaster 2 comes out. That's it. Bottom line. So I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye.